How long would it take you to spend $10.5 million? Well, for Sharon Tirabassi, it took her exactly 9 years to blow through her entire jackpot winnings, quickly moving from rags to riches and back to rags. To most people, her story would seem like the typical stories of lottery winners who won big and lost it all on needless spending. But did she lose everything because of recklessness and bad decisions? A life-changing win. As a single mother of 6 living in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Sharon Tirabassi, then known as Sharon Mentore, would have never imagined she would be a multi-millionaire. So in April 2004, during Easter, when Sharon received the life-changing news, she was more than ecstatic. Before her win, she and her children had been living off welfare. She had just managed to get out of the welfare roll after getting a job as a personal care provider. That night, she bought a Super 7 Powerball lottery ticket that would later win her a jackpot prize of $10,569,000, changing her life for what she thought would be for the better. She chose to cash out the entire amount at the Ontario Lottery and Gaming Corp as soon as she got the news. Bit by the charity bug. Unlike most people who went straight into spending their newfound fortune, Sharon Tirabassi was a generous soul. She thought of others before herself. The first thing she did with the money was to give her parents $1 million. She also shared a total of $1.75 million among her 4 siblings. Sharon explained that growing up, they were always taught to always help people in need, especially if you had the capacity. That was why it was very difficult for Sharon to say now to the many estranged family and friends who popped out of nowhere, asking for handouts or loans. As news spread about her winning, Sharon shared how her mail was filled with letters from people she hadn't seen or spoken to in years, asking for a favor. Her phone would also keep ringing non-stop. She ended up loaning her friend money to bail her husband out of jail. She also loaned other friends money for business ventures. But unfortunately, all of these friends disappeared soon after they received the money, never to be heard from again. Judging from how Sharon ended up, it's safe to say these loans were never repaid. But friends and family weren't the only people Sharon was generous towards. Having had her first-hand experience living in hardship, she wanted to help make other people's lives easier. So she bought several houses in the city and rented them out at low rates to low-income families. Soon enough, she had spent more than half of her fortune on charity. Then comes the reckless spending. Even though most of her fortune was spent on others, Sharon didn't forget to spend some of it on herself as well. She bought a big house on mortgage in Ancaster that was worth $515,000. There, she lived with her husband, Vinny Tirabassi, whom she married in 2006, with their 9 kids. 3 came from Vinny's previous marriage. They also owned 4 cars, a Mustang, Hammer, Charger, and Sharon's favorite, a customized baby blue Cadillac Escalade worth $200,000. The Escalade was decked up with interior turntables and sound mixers that Sharon would blare loud hip-hop music from at the front of her house, disturbing the otherwise peaceful and quiet suburban streets of Ancaster. It was this and the lavishly loud parties Sharon hosted at her house that made her the least favored among her neighbors. Tirabassi's spending, however, did not end there. She also spent a huge chunk of her cash on designer clothes and accessories, as well as luxury trips for her family and friends. They would travel to places like Florida, Los Angeles, California, the Caribbean, and Cancun. She said that through all that aimless spending, she always thought that the money would never end. That's because she would always look at her account and still see so many zeros. But that was soon about to change. The harsh reality hits. 9 years later, after all the fun, Sharon says she woke up one day to find out that she only had $750,000 left in her account. She describes that moment as a slap, telling her it was time to get back to the real world. By that time, Vinny had gotten into trouble with the law and gotten jailed twice. It resulted in them losing their home in Ancaster. Sharon and their 9 kids were forced to move around until finally settling in a rental apartment in Hamilton when Vinny was released. Of the 4 cars they owned, they were only left with the Cadillac, which had also broken down, and they didn't have the money to buy the spare parts and have it fixed. So Sharon was forced to go back to riding the bus to and from her new part-time job as a personal support worker in Hamilton. This was how she would pay rent and put food on the table for her family. Although when it's all said and done, Sharon said that she had no regrets about how she spent her money. She explained that for her, those 9 years were like a break from the hardships that she had known all her life. Having grown up, moving from shelter to shelter, losing the money wasn't such a big deal. Her only regret was the family and friends she lost because of the win. Apparently, despite her generosity, the money still caused rifts in the family and some of her friendships. Vinny, in an interview, said that the win caused Sharon more headaches than it gave her happiness. What remained of the winnings, Sharon put in a trust for their children to access when they reached 26 years old. Now the couple feels that they are happier without it and are comfortable living paycheck to paycheck and teaching their kids the true value of money. Sharon even went on to say that she felt like life had more purpose now without the aimless spending. What makes her story unique, however, is that Sharon Tirabassi didn't just spend the money recklessly on senseless things. She tried to make a difference for those around her as well, even though her generosity was guided more by emotion than logic. So the main lesson here would be that money doesn't come with the financial sense of how to spend it, nor does it buy happiness. But what's your take? Let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.